Hi everyone, I am going to talk about the Christmas cactus. Included in this will be the Thanksgiving cactus because they're very much related. So first I want to discuss the naming of this because it can get a little confusing. So when you go to the store and you buy one around the holidays, it will say like Zygo cactus on a lot of them. That was the old name that was used, but the nursery industry still is using it. So sometimes you see them go by Zygo cactus, but the genus that is more correct to use is Schlumbergera, and Zygo cactus is easier to say. And there's two different species that you may or may not buy. One of them is called Schlumbergera truncata, and that one is the Thanksgiving cactus. And the other one has two differing names. It's Schlumbergera bridgei, or you may see it as Schlumbergera cross berkeley. And that is the Christmas cactus. Now, to get even more confusing, often what is sold as the Christmas cactus is actually the Thanksgiving cactus because it blooms slightly earlier. But really, taking care of both of them, either of them, it's the same. They're both epiphytic cacti, meaning that they don't grow in the soil. So they're from the tropics of Brazil, so they're going to grow up into the trees of the rainforest. So they get regular water, but the thing is, since they're not in the soil, they're growing in pockets of debris, so they should be in quick draining soil when you plant them. They're tropical, so they don't want to handle cold temperatures, and they handle a little bit more moisture than a standard cactus, but of course you don't want to rot them out. So I'm going to go through step by step, starting with if you were to purchase one at the holidays from a store as a gift plant. So you're going to see them like this. Usually they're going to have this, of course, this decorative sleeve. They're going to be in plastic pots. Now, when you get them, almost any plant from a nursery, but especially a gift pot, most of the time the soil is this cheap peat-based soil. It holds a lot of moisture, and so for shipping, the plants aren't going to dry out. It doesn't cost a lot for the nursery industry to use it, but over time it's going to break down. So of course, when you get your plant, you're going to not want to disturb it because you want it to keep flowering. So you're going to bring it inside, enjoy it inside. So you can put it on a table, but don't keep it away from a bright light too long, else, of course, it's going to suffer. So inside, it should be away from heater vents, bright light, and water sparingly. Let the soil dry out. It's peat soil, so it's going to take a long time to dry out, but if you let it go too bone dry, it's going to be really hard to re-wet. So just make sure the top few inches dry out before you water it. Of course, when you water, remove this sleeve, let water flow out the bottom. So during the holidays, that's it. That's all you need to do. Soon after the holidays, you're going to want to get it out of that peat soil. That peat soil is going to break down. And remember, it holds a lot of moisture, and even though these are tropical plants, they're still plants that want fast draining soil because they're growing up in the canopies of the trees in a very loose, light mix. So I'm going to take just one smaller one that was bought. And here's an interesting thing. They're very lush and full, but in fact, most of the time I find that there's multiple plants in each pot. And if you were to take this, pot it up into a pot, what happens is I get these questions where someone will say, oh, I have a stem that's dying or half of my plant that's dying and wilting. Well, it's not half the plant. It's probably one of the individual plants that is in that pot. So take it out. This one I've already disturbed slightly, but you're going to see the peat soil holds a lot of moisture. And I'm just going to divide it. You know, not all of them may be dividable. You want to be careful. So start just pulling it apart. And if it pulls out easy and you have individual roots in sections of plants, then those are individual plants. And you're going to pot them up in individual pots into a better soil. So I'm going to take just one of these because there are now individual plants. We're going to take this one here. And I'm going to take a pot. I prefer using terracotta pot, but you can use plastic or ceramic. Remember, you don't want to go too big for a pot. What happens when you overplant a pot is that there's not enough roots to take up all the moisture that's in the surrounding soil, and sometimes that could lead to rot. So just move up into a pot size slightly bigger. So here's your individual plant, and of course, like I plant most everything in, is I like to use a succulent mix, because it's loose and airy. So I'm going to, of course, just put it in. And I'm going to sort of just shake as much of that existing soil off. Remember, there's a borderline between causing too much root damage and getting the old soil off. So, you know, if you can't get all the old soil off the roots, that's perfectly fine. Going to center it, and then of course, just backfill it, press the soil down, and then you're going to water it in. Now, since this is after the holidays, if temperatures have warmed up 45 degrees and more, or let's say 40, 45 degrees at night, you can move it outside. Remember, they don't want temperatures below 40 degrees. It's too cold for them. So once it's 40 degrees consistently, you can move it outside. Outside, they can handle morning sun, but they need afternoon shade, or just put it in a very bright dappled shade and throughout the year until those temperatures drop down below 40, and then you're going to bring it back inside. Now, that would be the time to prune it if needed. Usually they don't need a lot of pruning, but if you see something broken or you just want to thin it out a bit, you can remove some of the stems. Now, the big question is, how do you get it to reflower? So say you've gone through the whole summer, it's October. Now, they need about 6 to 8 weeks of 12 to 13 hours of complete darkness. And the good thing is once it hits October, of course, it starts getting darker earlier, and usually we could hit those 12 hours of darkness no problem. But since we're competing with temperatures getting cooler, you're going to have to bring your plant inside. It seems fine, right? Except for if you have supplemental light inside left on by the plant, that could mess with its bloom cycle. So make sure you're not keeping this plant by a light that's staying on until like 1 in the morning with you reading by. That could actually mess up the blooms. So remember, 6 to 8 weeks of 12 to 13 hours of darkness, and then they'll start blooming. That's why they're called, you know, Thanksgiving cactus and Christmas cactus, because that's when they bloom, but it's really the day lengths that trigger them to bloom. Some other things is sometimes if people grow them year-round outside, say you're in a slightly warmer spot where it stays warmer, even a porch light left on and then by the porch light could mess up the blooms. So that's really it. You don't want the soil to stay too wet. Fertilizing, you know, if it starts turning yellow, of course, watch your watering. If it's not blooming, a few things in case it's not blooming besides the light is if it's too crowded, it may be time to move it up to a bigger pot. You may want to give it some balanced fertilizer, like a 10-20-20 in case it's not blooming. If it's yellowing, just give it a 10-10-10. They're not really heavy feeders. They don't have a lot of problems. Rot is probably the number one, and you'll see that by having very wrinkled stems on it. Mealybugs. You know what mealybugs are? Those fuzzy white sucking insects. What they are is phloem suckers. They take their stylet pump, pierce into the sugar transport of the plant, suck out all the sugars, poop it out, cause that stickiness on your plant. If too many are on there, it could make your plant yellow, sick, and eventually die. So you're going to want to take some wet paper towels, wipe them off, horticultural soap, and spray them on. Even a little bit of rubbing alcohol, but only remember, do that once or twice and dilute it 50%. So say you want more plants. Remember, these plants could live for generations and generations. They could get very big. So if you want more plants from them, the interesting thing, well, I guess I find interesting, is all this green material here is actually stem. There's no leaves. Like a lot of cacti, there are no leaves on the plant. It's all stem material. The reason being is in the tropics, they're up in the canopies. Yes, it rains a lot, but they still have issues with making sure they get enough water because they're not in the soil. So by having your stems do the photosynthesis, you're preventing extra water loss. So there's these little openings called stomata that leaves and stems have. Leaves have more stomata, so it makes them great for photosynthesizing, but when there's not a lot of water or a period of not water, the plant's not going to want to photosynthesize as much or as with something as with that many stomata, because you're going to lose water. So having just stems with less stomata, you're going to preserve water. So as we like to tell students at the conservatory, what's stomata with you? Sorry, bad pun, right? Okay, so since this is all stem material, this is what you could do. You can make cuttings very easy. So I would do this in spring and summer with the new growth, because that is when the hormones are most active to form roots. So you're going to want to look for a section that's maybe 4 to 6 inches long of new growth. And of course, I'm taking one that has buds. Let's pretend it's spring or summer and the buds are gone. New leaf stems have busted out. And I'm just going to take a section about yay big, right? So remember, it's all stem. And stems are very important because they have that meristematic tissue at their nodes, which are the growth points, that allow the plant to form anything it needs. And when you do a cutting, what happens at that node is then it now forms roots when you put it in darkness and you cut it right below one. It's sort of the oxen sort of pools up. So there's one cutting. I like to do cuttings in perlite, 100% perlite or 50-50 vermiculite perlite. This you could even do in a peat moss, straight peat moss. Make sure it's wet and no hormones needed if you're going to take them in spring and summer when they're actively growing, because remember the hormone is just synthetic auxin, which is already being produced at the new growth. I don't have a hole making device, so I'm going to use my finger, plop it in there, bury it so it's nice and snug. And then of course, you could put multiples in a pot because there's no roots to compete for space and water and or nutrients. Everything is going to come from the air. So I'm just going to do a few more of them. If you happen to have flower buds on it, remember remove them because flower buds, fruit, they're all energy sinks, meaning that they are going to take energy away from the roots forming. So this is a pretty big one here. I'm just going to remove that. And we'll do 3. And put your pot of cuttings into a bright light area. No direct sun. Make sure the media stays a little bit moist. You can mist it. Or you could put it in a Ziploc bag. Now remember, these are cacti and they want good drainage. So you're going to have to maybe control the moisture in the Ziploc bag by opening it, letting some moisture out. If too much water is there, it's going to be running down the sides. That's too wet. In a few weeks, you should see roots or you tug and there's roots forming, and then just pot them up into their own individual pots and grow them as you would the rest of the year. So I hope that answered all your questions. And yeah, thanks for listening.